Is that so? Then I'll tell you. You went for 10 million yen. Dad proposed that amount based on what it would have cost if you had been raised in their house.
I'm Yuma. I'll be in the 4th grade starting in April. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Yuma. Welcome to our home.
In the summer vacation of my 3rd year of elementary school, a luxury car parked in front of my house. After that, the adults from the luxury car came by a few more times, and each time, my parents seemed restless. Even as a child, I calmly understood that they were apparently discussing my adoption. So, I'm finally being sold off. I wasn't calm because I didn't understand. I was calm precisely because I was in an environment where I had no choice but to understand.
Ugh, what is this? Are you telling me to eat cabbage?
I was born into the Kawano family, where my parents ran a convenience store. Apparently, business was good for the first few years, but sales dropped when a rival store opened nearby. Since then, my parents fought every day. I was an accident born at the peak of their stress.
I just put it there for a second because there's no space. I'm preparing the rest right now. Are you an idiot?
If you were as smart as Osamu, I could have had high hopes for your future, but you just seem so average.
My parents' yelling echoed every day. During the rare quiet moments without yelling, the difference in their expectations for us became painfully obvious.
We don't know that yet. His test scores aren't bad, so maybe his talents will bloom later on.
Mom, most kids who score 80s on elementary school tests are just average. He's never gonna bloom academically.
Right. If my brilliant Osamu says so, it must be true. Then maybe we really should accept that proposal.
Thanks for the meal. My brother, who's 9 years older than me, is smart enough to get into a high school with a deviation value of 65 without going to a cram school. My parents expected that if things kept going this way, he'd land a high-paying job. This is so stupid. Even if he went to a good high school, there's no way this family could afford his college tuition. That's why I used to look at my brother with cold eyes until recently. But things changed after that luxury car parked in front of our house. My parents are currently arranging to give me away as an adopted child to a wealthy distant relative. And what they're struggling with is how much money they can get for it. In other words, my adoption will cover my brother's college tuition. And so, the following month in September, it was officially decided that I would be adopted. Because they needed time for family registry procedures and other preparations, I stayed at this house until the end of my 3rd grade. I was told I'd be attending a private elementary school after moving, so in the meantime, I prepare for the transfer exams. And then...
What? Is that all the luggage you have?
Late March. Having safely finished the closing ceremony, I packed my bag the next day and waited to be picked up. I don't really have anything of value anyway.
Well, most of your stuff is my hand-me-downs anyway. But why don't you at least take your school backpack? This one actually belongs to you.
No, it's fine. It was bought secondhand anyway.
Oh, really? Well, take care of yourself. A wealthy family will probably be a pain to deal with, but at least you won't have to worry about money. You know, you were an unexpected child. There was talk of an abortion, but Mom hesitated, saying it was too much, so you were born.
I knew that. I also knew that if I had been as brilliant as my brother, they would have considered me an investment for the future.
Turned out you were just a money drainer when you were born, but it worked out well in the end. After all, thanks to you, my entire college tuition is covered. Oh right, do you know how much they finally settled for?
No.
Is that so? Then I'll tell you. You went for 10 million yen. Dad proposed that amount based on what it would have cost if you had been raised in their house.
Thinking back, he asked for way too little. But Dad negotiated for an amount he knew he could definitely get.
Mom said they could have asked for more, and I thought so too. But well, there's also the issue of taxes. Even so, 10 million yen is a ridiculous amount of money for a family. The whole house is in a festive mood. You are nothing but a burden, but I'm glad you could finally be of some use to this family at the very end.
And with that, I left my birth house and threw away the name Kawano. I wonder which is better. Poor people who only see their child as a money tree, or rich people who buy a child with money. They're probably both equally garbage anyway. I wasn't abused. I had food to eat. So, relatively speaking, the environment I was in wasn't all that terrible. But as a third grader who already looked at life with cold, cynical eyes, I headed to my new home with those thoughts in mind.
Come now. Welcome to our home.
We drove through the gates and arrived at the destination. But when I got out of the car, I froze. I've seen this woman a few times before. She was one of the people who came to our house to negotiate, probably the mother. My adoptive father, who had been in the car with me, gently pushed my back.
These are the people who will be your family starting today.
Nice to meet you. I'm Moko Soma. I'm so happy to meet my new little brother.
I'm Haruto. Hey, can I call you bro? I've always wanted to say that.
Oh, Haruto, you can call him that once and be done with it. You need to properly call him your big brother.
I'm Yuma. I'll be in the 4th grade starting in April. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Yuma. Welcome to our home.
I was bewildered to be welcomed by such an unexpectedly cheerful atmosphere. And so, I started my life with the Soma family.
This is your room, Yuma. It gets great sunlight, so I'm sure you'll wake up feeling good in the morning.
The kids were put in charge of showing me around, so they took me to my room first. The entrance hall seemed as big as my entire old house, and the hallways were wide enough for 3 people to easily walk side by side. And then there was a large dog with a beautiful coat. Just a short tour made it feel like a completely different world. It didn't feel real at all. By the way, the dog's name is Hanako. This was the only thing that felt surprisingly familiar.
We have 3 maids, and one of them lives here with us.
After leaving my bags in my room, the house tour continued. We were currently in the living room. The more I saw, the more it felt like another world. Apparently, they even have an exclusive chauffeur. The house looked like a 2-story building, but it actually had 3 floors and a basement. There was a wine cellar and a home theater. It seemed they used the home theater sometimes for family get-togethers.
And this is the courtyard. The yard isn't that big because of where we're located, but the greenery is something to look at. Oh, but I wouldn't recommend it in the summer since there are a lot of bugs. If you get bitten by mosquitoes, the itching will keep you up at night.
This is a prime location in the city center. Even as a country kid, I understood how amazing it was to have a yard this size here. Wow, it continues over there too.
Yeah, apparently they wanted to be surrounded by greenery even in the city, so they planted some trees. But there's nothing over here, and it's off limits to kids, so don't go there.
Wanting to be surrounded by greenery in the city, rich people really think differently. Ordinary people would probably just think about moving somewhere that already has a lot of nature. Hey, let's go to my room next. I got the newest game the other day. I had braced myself, wondering what kind of filthy people they were, but the 2 kids seemed pure. There's no telling what their parents were thinking behind the scenes, but at least on the surface, they seemed kind. I was overwhelmingly welcomed at night, and for the first time in my life, I ate a huge feast. They must have been spoiled growing up. Never having to worry about money, living in such a nice house, with parents who looked so kind. They definitely grew up without knowing any hardship. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to smile so carefree.
That's correct. You can only use English when you have a grasp of both vocabulary and grammar.
A few days after moving into this house, I was assigned several private tutors. The 2 other kids had them too, so at first glance it didn't seem strange, but the reality was different. That's right, I was being educated as the heir to the wealthy Soma family. Passed over the 2 biological children.
So you both were here.
3 years have passed since then. I'm in my 2nd year of middle school. My stepsister is in her 1st year of high school, and my stepbrother is in his 1st year of middle school. I had some free time and thought I'd read, so I came to the library. Surprisingly, Haruto was there too. Yeah, I thought it'd be nice to relax here for once. How about you, Mocha?
While studying business administration, I started wondering what successful executives actually have in common.
When I first came to this house, I thought they didn't know I was being educated as the heir, but that wasn't the case. Surprisingly, the 2 of them were receiving it as well. You really are a hard worker, Mocha.
I was was just curious. But if I want to inherit this family, I have to do at least this much. So you and Haruto don't need to push yourselves so hard to study. You should do more of the things you love.
And they also knew that I was receiving education to be the heir. One day, when Haruto casually said to me, "Isn't this heir education stuff full of mysteries?" I didn't show it on my face, but I was deeply shocked. My stepsister's well-behaved, hard-working, and her grades are flawless from what I hear. Haruto seems to be aiming to assist her, and his grades are fine as well. Hey, is it a problem for a woman to be the heir after all? Mocha is here, so why am I... After Mocha left the room, I asked a question I hadn't been able to ask all this time. The fact that I could ask it so smoothly showed that I had opened up to this family to some extent. I'm sorry. Huh? He muttered that in a voice so unlike his usual energetic self that I looked up from my book. There was Haruto, his face contorted, looking like he was about to cry. Haruto, what's wrong? It's all my fault. It's because I might not be able to have kids. The already quiet room fell dead silent. What he revealed was the very reason I was brought here.
No way! If you're frustrated, just try and grow taller than me.
I'll definitely surpass you someday. Surprisingly, Mocha used to be a very active child. Apparently, they used to compete in the games of tag and hide and seek almost every single day. Ah, there you are, Mocha. On this particular day, they were apparently playing hide and seek all over the house. He was it, and while searching for his sister, he found her hiding up in a tree.
You finally came! Jeez! You were so slow my butt started hurting.
How was I supposed to find you up here?
It took you 2 hours. I found you in 30 minutes, so I win again today. Well, this is the result of me secretly finding a new hiding spot and practicing climbing trees. Listen to me, okay? You better not try climbing this, Haruto. The bark really hurts when it pricks your hand, and above all, it's super dangerous if you fall. Wait! I told you not to do it!
Shut up! I can do it when I try.
This isn't like you just getting stubborn over a foot race.
Despite being told that, Haruto kept climbing. Mocha, who was up in the tree, couldn't do anything to stop him. And because of the location, there were no adults around either.
Haruto, I'm sorry. We can just call this round a tie, so please go down right now.
It was exactly when she said that.
Haruto!
Ow, ow, ow. As expected, he fell from the tree. Mocha, who was high up, scrambled down in an instant.
Haruto, are you okay? Are you hurt?
I'm fine. My butt just hurts a little.
But I'm worried. Shouldn't we go see a doctor? I'll go call someone.
I said I'm fine. He wasn't even from that high up. You're overreacting, Mocha. If we make a huge fuss over this, it'll just be a bother to Mom and Dad, right? They're both busy.
Haruto, but...
If I hit my head, it'd be one thing, but this is really nothing. You're such an exaggerator, Mocha. Let's have a drawing contest next. Let's design some nails since you love that.
Okay, I understand.
At that time, I really was fine. So I spent the day normally and went to sleep normally. But in the middle of the night, my lower abdomen suddenly started hurting, and things took a sharp turn for the worse. I was rushed to the hospital and diagnosed with testicular torsion. Testicular torsion? Testicular... well, it means my balls twisted up and the blood stopped flowing. I needed surgery right away. I had an emergency operation, and they removed the twisted one. That's why I only have one ball now. What? Well, if that was all, it wouldn't have been a huge deal. The problem was what came after. It turned out that I have a condition that makes my testicles prone to twisting. I didn't really get it at the time, but my uncle had the same condition, so Dad apparently knew a fair bit about it. He said there's a chance I might not have the ability to bear, or, well, have children. A first-year middle schooler had limited vocabulary for it, but what he meant was that he was sterile. They didn't want the other one to twist as well, so I've been living with a preventive fixation. But in 2nd grade, I was diagnosed with underdevelopment of the testicle. So, it's not like the chances are absolutely zero, but it's better to assume I can't be the heir. I was brought into this house just before he started his 2nd year of elementary school. In other words, the moment they found out he had a bell clapper deformity, making him prone to testicular torsion, they had already started considering adopting a boy. But Mocha is still here. Why go out of your way to adopt me? Dad and the others are planning to silence them, but there are people who will oppose her just because she's a woman. I think you're meant to be insurance for just in case. When it comes to succeeding a wealthy family, inheriting the company and shares means trust is crucial. That's why biological children are usually chosen as heirs and educated for that purpose. It was a wise decision. Mocha thinks that accident was all her fault. Since then, she's become completely quiet, like a different person. She's been working so hard to become someone worthy of being the heir, but... I'm the one to blame. She tried to stop me, but I didn't listen and climbed that tree anyway. If only I had listened to her back then, maybe I could have stayed the heir. Since he had a bell clapper deformity, there was a possibility he could have suffered testicular torsion on another occasion anyway. Or perhaps his adoptive father, who was knowledgeable about it, would have taken preventive measures beforehand. No, if his testicle development is weak, it probably wouldn't have made a difference. He was destined for this either way. Hey, bro, please. Could you please become the heir to this family? Mocha says she wants to be the heir, but that's just out of sense of duty and guilt. I know it's selfish of me to say this when we're the ones who tore you away from your real family. But Mocha really wanted to become a nail artist, so please. This is nothing but a delusion born out of his own guilt, blinding him to reality. She probably would have gone down this path to become the heir anyway. It's not up to me to decide. Mocha could have never aimed to be a nail artist regardless. Saying that would be easy, but even if I did, he probably wouldn't accept it. It's almost time for my tutor to arrive. See ya. All I can do is work hard, so I'll be chosen as the heir. And so, I study again today. With a swirl of complicated emotions, I realized that the new game he bragged about when I first arrived was likely a gift from his parents, thinking of his future. And so, the months and years passed. I slowly started to blend in as a member of the Soma family. Congratulations on your graduation, Mocha.
Thank you, Yuma.
I, who used to only be able to look at things with cold eyes, began to smile more often. However, the more emotions I started feeling, the more complicated things got. I found myself falling in love with my stepsister, who worked so hard to change herself just to inherit the family. Stop it, she's your stepsister. She had accepted me as her little brother, even when I suddenly showed up without a shred of friendliness. Besides, whatever their motives were, I'm grateful to my adoptive parents too. After all, they took me out of that house and gave me a wonderful life. That's why, even though we had no blood relation, these feelings felt like a terrible betrayal.
Yuma, high school life goes by in a flash. Make sure you enjoy it to the fullest with your friends.
Yeah, of course. Just as she said it, before I knew it, my high school years flew by and I graduated. At that time, a family meeting was held, and the result was that I was designated as the successor. Mocha, do you have a minute? While attending university, I formally received education as the next successor, worked for the company, and at the age of 25, the board of directors officially decided on me as the next successor. And now, at 26...
What?
Is the final decision maker on whether to become a major shareholder in a company with tight cash flow preparing for an IPO, I sat face to face with their representatives. Reacting to his shock, the CFO, legal counsel, and the company's president at the meeting all looked puzzled. It's been a while, Osamu. When I told them he was my biological brother, only their company president looked relieved and happy.
I'm surprised. I heard someone from the Soma family was coming, but I never expected to be you, Yuma.
I've heard about your success. You're an executive candidate now, right? As expected, you always were brilliant.
Getting into a private university I thought was impossible, and studying under a famous marketing professor played a big part in it.
I see. It sounds like the money from selling me was very useful. At my words, the air in the room froze in an instant.
Oh my, Mr. Soma, What a joke, selling you of all things.
No, it's not a joke. I was sold off by my family, who were struggling with money at the time. When the Soma family proposed an adoption, they triumphantly saw it as a chance to get money.
Huh?
Osamu, do you remember? On the day I was taken by the Soma family, you said to me, "You are nothing but a burden, but I'm glad you could finally be of use to this family at the very end."
What?
Come on, Yuma. That was just some harmless sibling banter, right? But if I hurt your feelings, I apologize. I wouldn't want to leave any bad blood before a big deal.
Bad blood, huh? True, it's before an important deal. We might as well clear the air for both our sakes. I'll take you up on that offer and say this now. You seem to have a superiority complex because you were the only one our parents had high expectations for, but what stuck in my memory were our parents' resigned eyes when they looked at me, and your smile, which couldn't hide your pleasure and disdain. I always thought you were a pitiful person. A person whose caliber would never reach a genius, fated to remain within the confines of mediocrity.
What did you say?
Hey, Kawano, what are you doing?
See? It's exactly that. You were good at studying, but that's all you've got. You're small-minded. At the very least, you don't have what it takes to stand at the top. I felt that even more after coming to the Soma family and receiving Heir education. That said, you're 35 now, a grown adult. I had heard about your success, so I thought maybe you had changed, but judging from your reaction, neither your small-mindedness nor your low mindset has changed at all. You might be an executive candidate, but if they make someone like you an executive, this company is finished. If you want to climb to the top, you need to work on that mindset, not just your precious studies.
You...
Kawano? I am so sorry, Mr. Soma. It seems we lacked the eye for judging character.
No, I'm the one who should apologize for bringing up personal matters. I just never expected him to be foolish enough to expose his true colors right here. Well, it has nothing to do with what we're about to discuss, so please don't worry. Now then, shall we get down to business?
Wait, did he just say Heir education? Don't tell me...
Yeah, it should be cool enough by now. Thinking that, I enjoyed the elegant aroma before finally taking a sip of the tea. As a result of that negotiation, it was decided as planned that the Soma family would become the major shareholder and acquire the company my brother worked for. The president took my remarks seriously and conducted an internal investigation into my brother, which revealed that he had been chronically harassing his subordinates. As a result, my brother was demoted and removed from the list of executive candidates.
Thank you for waiting. Everyone else is currently out, so I will attend to you instead. Nice to meet you. I am Mocha Soma.
A few days after that incident, my biological parents showed up in the drawing room of the Soma household.
Nice to meet you.
We're sorry for dropping by so suddenly, but if no one else is here, maybe we should come back later.
No, it's fine. I am the next head of the Soma family. Let's hear what you have to say.
Their expressions changed at those words. That's right. I became the successor of the company, but she's the one who will inherit the headship of the family.
The head of the family?
Forgive me for asking, but does that mean Yuma's future wife will not receive any rights?
No, that's not the case. So what exactly brings you here today?
Drinks hadn't even been served yet, but she completely ignored that and cut straight to the chase.
Oh.
Well, you see, up until now our eldest son had been sending us some financial support every month. But he recently quit his job and told us he couldn't send him money anymore. So we were hoping Yuma might be able to send us money instead.
Financial support? Wasn't your son working up until the other day?
Apparently, he's planning to start his own business.
Yes, he said he wants to take on a new challenge.
They say that, but it's just a cover story. Losing his chance at a promotion, coupled with the fact that I was an executive of the acquiring company, probably lit a fire under him. In short, his pride simply couldn't handle losing to me. Truly a small-minded man.
We heard all about it. Yuma has become the successor, hasn't he? That means a massive fortune will be passed down to him.
We may have given him up for adoption, but he's still our child. If anything, since we gave you the person who became your heir, we think we deserve some sort of reward.
What a shameless pair of people. To shamelessly call me their child at this point, and to beg for money using such absurd logic.
I see. Understood. Then... It seems we have nothing more to discuss. Please leave. What?
Wait, look, we're not asking you to do this forever. Once our eldest son's company is on track, we'll start getting help from him again. Just a little lump sum like before will be fine.
A little? Well, yes. We paid you 10 million yen, assuming that's what it would have cost if we had raised Yuma up to the 3rd grade. But normally, it would cost much more. Thinking about it that way, I suppose it was just a little amount.
We never heard anything about that.
I heard from my parents that since you were the ones who proposed 10 million yen, we paid exactly that amount.
See? I told you we could have gotten more if you hadn't wimped out.
However, 10 million yen is still a huge amount of money. How many people do you think it takes to generate that kind of money? It's true that we receive large sums of money without having to do the physical labor ourselves. But that doesn't mean we can selfishly spend it like water. We must properly appreciate how many people work to create that wealth and use it responsibly to keep the economy going. Besides, you decided Yuma was an unwanted child just because he didn't seem like he'd be profitable in the future. I would never, as his sister and as his wife, offer financial support to people who smilingly sold him off for money.
Huh?
What?
That's right, I'm actually married to her, meaning my wife is Mocha. Mocha, do you have a minute? This was the night I was designated as the successor. After taking a bath, I visited her room.
What is it? It's rare for you to come to my room.
Sorry for dropping by so late, but there's something I really need to tell you.
Yeah? What is it?
Mocha. I love you, Mocha. Not as a stepbrother, but as a man.
Huh?
I've already told Mom and Dad. I told them that if I became the successor, I'd ask for their daughter's hand in marriage.
Wait, what? Since when?
I don't know, but before I knew it, I found my eyes chasing after you. I'm not asking you to date me right away, or even to love me back immediately. I'd just be happy if you started seeing me that way, and I want you to think about a future with me. If you end up choosing me, I want you to do the things you gave up on. You could run around freely, or maybe pursue being a nail artist.
How did you know? I get it. It was Haruto. Honestly, this is so sudden. I don't know what to say. But I'll think about it.
After I started making my move, and she slowly became conscious of me, Mocha actually confessed to me when I graduated from college. We started dating then, got engaged a year later, maintained a great relationship despite our busy jobs, and officially tied the knot when I was 24.
I thank you for bringing him into this world and raising him until the 3rd grade. However, we have already paid you our gratitude in the form of money. Listen here. The emotional scars you left on him were incredibly deep. Do you have any idea how many years it took for him to finally smile so gently like he does now? If you've learned your lesson, never call yourself Yuma's parents again, and do not ever come to our house.
And so, my parents were banned from the Soma household. By the way, my wife, who occasionally shows glimpses of her old energetic self, later told me, I haven't shouted like that in forever. I felt so refreshing. Now, as for what happened to my parents after that.
I want a divorce.
Huh? What's this all of a sudden?
It's not sudden. I've been thinking about this ever since you quit your job to run a convenience store. I only married you because I thought you had a stable job, but all that awaited me was a life of constant financial struggle. And you always back down at the most crucial moments and mess things up. I've reached my limit.
With my mother bringing up divorce, my parents had a massive fight and eventually separated.
If I was gonna end up working part-time anyway, I should never have quit being an owner.
I wonder when Osamu is going to succeed. Mommy doesn't want to work anymore.
They both started working part-time, but their income was halved, so their living situation didn't improve at all. If anything, my father struggled with the chores he had never done before, and my mother only felt a bit of relief because the burden was gone. Meanwhile, as for my brother,
Why? Yuma gets all that money without any effort, so why am I, who's so brilliant, failing?
he tried starting his own business, but completely failed, leaving him with a massive amount of debt. He had some savings, but since he had been sending money to our parents, it was only a matter of time before he hit rock bottom. The people he turned to for help were our parents. He barged into their lives, demanding they return all the money he had sent them, and in the end, the three of them were trapped by money, struggling miserably.
Yuma, I'm so sorry. It seems Haruto said some selfish things to you.
Bro, I'm really sorry. As for me, on the night my biological parents came over, I was in the theater room, watching them bow their heads. Oh, is that it? I didn't think anything of it, so don't apologize.
But you were brought here because of the adult's selfish reasons. And now, did you marry me because...
That's not true at all. Admittedly, when I first came here, I thought this must be a messed up family to buy an adopted child with money. But when I actually got here, I found a big, beautiful house, a life free from money troubles, and incredibly kind people. I could study things you don't even learn in school without worrying about the cost. Honestly, it felt like I went from hell to heaven. So, when Haruto said all that to me, it really didn't bother me. If anything, I just thought he really cared about his sister. I felt so indebted to all of you, which is why I was so conflicted when I fell in love with you, Mocha. The guilt was overwhelming. Thank you both for accepting me when I arrived so suddenly, and for even accepting the idea of marrying Mocha. Well, yeah, I was genuinely happy to get a big brother, and I thought you'd be a great match for Mocha anyway.
I had some complicated feelings at the time since you were a candidate for Heir. But I'm glad I could at least be a good older sister to you. Before I knew it, I truly thought of you as my little brother. Yet when you told me your feelings, strangely enough, I felt no disgust at all.
Oh my, of course you didn't.
Just then, my adopted parents walked into the theater room.
After all, Yuma was your very first crush, Mocha.
What? I don't remember that at all.
Apparently, they visited the neighborhood near my old house once. Mocha saw me playing at a nursery school they passed by and just stared at me.
You probably didn't realize it yourself. You were only 6 after all. Later, when we were looking for a child to adopt, we just happened to find Yuma. When we learned you weren't in a good environment, we felt like we had to save you.
You were a candidate for the Heir, but if you had hated the idea, we were planning to find someone else. To begin with, we would have been fine with just Mocha. It was just for the what if.
Hearing my adoptive father, who had followed her in, say that, I knew they weren't lying. By the way, Haruto has been diagnosed with azoospermia. Just as planned, he's working to assist the successor, meaning me.
Yuma, I'm sorry for adopting you without telling you anything.
And thank you so much for coming to our family.
No, thank you for choosing me. I used to look at things with cold eyes, thinking that both poor and rich people were just full of garbage. But maybe people aren't garbage just because of money. I only thought that way because of the environment I grew up in. I'm incredibly happy right now. Because environment changes people. At least it did for me. I went from being someone who had given up on life and looked at everything with cold eyes, to someone who can truly enjoy happy moments with my family.
Woo, Brittany here. What? Horrendous parents. But you know what? He ended up in a better place with a better life, so... I guess that's a pretty deep topic that I can't really touch in like a 12-second exit. But I hope you enjoyed this episode like I did, because it was really heartwarming. Alright, see you next time. Bye!